This programme is proudly sponsored by BYD, the #1 electric vehicle in the world and the fastest growing brand in the UK car market. BYD in Super League Raw, building our dreams together. And the home of Super League Raw, the Bluebell in Warrington. Make this your pre- and post-game destination for the best food and drink in town. So, good evening and welcome to Super League Raw Weekly. Yes, don't adjust your sets. It's me and Greg, but don't worry, Steph is not a long way away. Somewhere in a past the bake, we're led to believe. All my fault, ladies and gentlemen, because I've had to pull the show forward an hour because yours truly is doing a night shift tonight. I can feel a bit of the Commodores coming on there, mate.
Hard at work, mate. Hard at
work. Yes, for your... Just to get a bit of kudos. So nights last night, 2 hours kip, full day at the Warrington Wolves Media Day, home, 1 hour kip, now doing the show, straight to another night shift, 10 till 7.
You're a trooper, sir. A trooper.
Something tells me, mate, I'm going to be hitting the wall sometime about this time tomorrow night. Good evening to everybody in the chat. Eva Bailey's with us, Rebecca Frey, Dawn Kirby. Oh, it's a women's show. Hey, all the girls are out in force tonight. Broncos ball. He's with us. Great result for the Broncos ball. We'll probably talk about that tonight as well at some point. Craig Forfeit Pulis is with us. Toddy's with us as well. Nigel Wood. Keep them coming, boys. And a big apology to our very good friend and member, Gary Hutchinson, who last week did donate a beer to us. I forgot to give him his due. So, Gary, mate, I can't drink beer tonight because I'm working, but this particular cup of coffee is for you. All the very, very best to you. Right, we will, of course, have Steph to do the usual bit. Ollie in the chat. Yeah, you're coming up in a bit, Ollie. Don't you worry about that. We've got Ollie. And we're going to be tonight, as you saw on the trailer for the show, we are going to be doing Huddersfield Giants, Castleford Tigers, and St. Helens. That's going to be the squads that we look at. But like I said, me and Reggie were at the Warrington Wolves Media Day today, and this is a little bit of what we got up to. Good. So this is basically what it looks like. So as you can see here behind me, you've got the official Sky and all the main media. And these are those headshots that you see captured whenever you watch Sky Sports or anything like that, whenever any of the advertisement things go on the TV. These are the shots that you see. And then over here, we've got the official Warrington Wolves one. So if you're a Wire TV or YouTube channel subscriber at Warrington Wolves, then again, what you've got over there is something very, very similar. But they do their own. So you can see now Joe Philbin over there on the far side. and he's getting all of that done. Then over here, we've got the Warrington Wolves media team. They're going to be doing some interviews today with some of the players during the course of the day, and this is where the real work happens. Over here is where all the sponsors, memorabilia is signed by the players. These will go off to the shirt sponsors, the main sponsors at Warrington Wolves. They'll probably get them framed, and as you can see, what happens is once the players have done with the media duties, they go over there and they start to get everything signed, and that's basically how it works. And then later on, there'll be some official interviews that will take place with Sam Burgess over in the main concourse over the road. So that's pretty much what's going on in here today. It really is a conveyor belt of rugby league player after rugby league player getting the photos took, just mingling, having a good time, chatting to the press, and that's basically how it's going to be. And of course, over here is my mate Danny Walker. Let's go and grab hold of Danny. So we'll go over. We may as well get cracking straight away. Danny, mate, how are you, mate? So you're live on Super League Raw. Good morning.
How are we? You all right?
Very well indeed. So before we start, let's get to the really important thing. 18th of February, action for Alfie's wish list. You put his hand up, which was fantastic. You're looking forward to seeing the little man?
Yeah, I am. I'm really excited to get down there, and hopefully it's a nice special event for him. I know obviously I'll be there, and I'm hoping there's going to be a few more Super League players down, so it should be good. Yeah,
Danny's going to be canvassing across the boys to try and get even more Warrington Wolves players there on the night. And of course, for you last season, ravaged a little bit by injury, came back at the back end. How's it looking for this year, mate?
Yeah, it's been flying. I've had no sort of problems with my knee. I sort of out like that since after I come back. So it's all been going well. Boys are flying. There's been a lot of PBs in the gym. A lot of PBs on the Bronco test.
Personal bests.
Yeah, personal bests. Yeah. A lot of personal bests on the Bronco test and stuff like that. So boys are flying and I'm ready to go.
Absolutely fantastic. And this time last year, this man for Wire TV did a sketch with George Williams. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you want to describe your picture of George Williams that you did on the blind sketch?
Well, we're live, aren't we? So I'll have to be careful what I say. But yeah, it was a bit of a funny nose anyway. I'll give it that way. Put it that way.
Yeah, the main feature was a very, very big nose, but no, happy days. So, of course, we've got the cup coming up. It's going to be either Whitehaven or Sheffield. And then, of course, the opening game of the season. You must be ready to go, mate.
Yeah, mate. The boys are. Obviously, I am on a personal note because obviously I felt like there's a lot of things that I've got to get right sort of from last year. I've obviously missed a big chunk of it, and obviously I missed out on the England squad. So on a personal note, I'm excited to get going, but as a team, as a collective, obviously we had a disappointing year last year, so we just want to get out there and go and attack it for each other and the fans. So.
And you always say every time we speak that if your form for Warrington is at top level, the England thing takes care of itself. It's the ultimate for you, isn't it, to get down under and play for England in the World Cup?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I know. At the back end of last year, I was absolutely gutted. But then after I sort of got over it, it was like, right, I'm extra motivated now, and I don't want to forget that sort of feeling of when I had the phone call, you know what I mean, and how gutted I was and stuff like that. I don't want to forget that feeling. So it's just going to make me more driven, I feel like, this year.
Well, they'll be up raw, mate, if you're not down there. But actually, speaking of which, obviously it's been announced this week, Sean Wayne has departed the England setup. And we know that you were well thought of by Sean. We don't know who the new coach is going to be. Does that give you added motivation? Because whoever comes in, you've got to prove yourself again, haven't you?
Yeah. I think, on a personal note, I've really got on my way now, so I'm gutted about that. Obviously, whatever's happened. But it's a fresh set of eyes, and whoever comes in now, it's everyone's got a free sort of plain piece of paper and go after it, haven't they? So, and I'm no different to that. So whoever comes in gets a job. All I can do is do my best, and hopefully on the back of it, I'm on the plane to the World Cup.
Well, let's hope so. The battle of Lytton and Walker in 2026, that's going to be good. Let's hope that they both go. But Danny, thanks for your time, mate. Go well. Look after yourself.
All the best at Alfie's fundraiser. See you all down there.
Yes, so there you go. Danny Walker just doing his little pitch there for the fundraiser at the Bluebell for Action for Alfie. Of course, Alfie living with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. We're raising money for the family to do as many wish lists of Alfie that they possibly can. Danny Walker, Steve McNamara, George Whitley confirm there are more confirmations. Hopefully this time next week we will be able to add to that graphic with more familiar faces in Rugby League. But you spoke well, Danny. It's been a good day. It's been a busy day, Greg, but it was a good day down there, wasn't it?
It was a really good day, and a new energy around the team. I thought the new signings have come in and brought something different. I think we spoke to not giving any spoilers, but we spoke to players like Sipley and Josh Smith, and there just seems to be a new energy around the camp. The injured players coming back is going to be a boost, but a real good day. Speaking to the players, there's not many top flight sports you can actually go somewhere like that and have that access to the players. So, a really good and some good interviews and some good stuff to look forward to there.
Absolutely, yes. Really, really good. Great to hear from Danny. Like I say, the tickets are on sale. If you're listening to the podcast, go over to superleagueraw.com. If you're in and around Warrington, Wigan, St. Helens, you can commute to Warrington on the 18th of February. It's a great it's a great night. It's going to be a brilliant night. The more we can do for this special young lad, the better. And of course, within that, it's going to be some brilliant interviews with the people that we've invited. We've got some great memorabilia as well that's going to be there. And thank you as well to Warrington Wolves today, who have donated a signed away shirt, which we will get framed. So, and that's a 2026 squad shirt as well. And they donated that. And there's more, I'm sure, donations coming from clubs between now and when we start. So superleagueraw.com, only £12.50 a ticket. All proceeds go to the family, and you get a hot pot supper for that. So can't be bad. Can't be
bad at all, mate.
At all. And this, and now a special announcement. Of course, but before we do super chat, I can't get myself in trouble again. Peter Barley on the night shift tonight, and he sent us a super chat in. Big shout out to all the night workers. Hopefully, we are making your shift a little bit easier, sir. A little bit easier. But go well, Pete. Good to hear from you, mate. Right, big announcement, big announcement. This one. So we have got. The way we approach that today here at Super League Raw is we did it from the point of view as what goes on at a media day within a club. A lot of fans out there might not get to go or fully understand what a media day looks and feels like. So we have got best part, I'm going to have to edit it, but I think we've got at least a 1 hour show, with interviews from Toff Sipley will be in there, Josh Smith, the new recruits, Matty Ashton, Joe Philbin, the list goes on and on, James Harrison, Sam Burgess, Gary Chambers. We pretty much interviewed the great and the good of the Warrington Wolves. And we also interviewed a couple of people that are behind the camera that you don't get to see at the club in terms of what their role is as well. That is a members exclusive. So we've told you this year, there's going to be loads of members exclusive. The full documentary, Warrington Wolves Media Day, behind the scenes, will be coming to you this weekend. And like I say, that is going to be really, really good viewing. Even if you're not a Warrington Wolves fan, that is great viewing because you just get to see what it all looks and feels like, and we walk you through it. So, like I say, there's loads of content there, Greg, isn't there?
Yeah, tons of content, some great interviews. Great to, as I say, chat to the players. Great to get into the mindset. Good to see the interaction between them and, the media as well that were there. There was some other media there as well, and it's just a real fascinating insight into how the players react with each other, how they gel together, the little friendship groups. Really interesting viewing.
Yeah, I think Declan there. I think that's probably your speakers, mate. I think the sound quality was fine on that interview. So
Declan, I don't run anywhere, mate.
Yeah, you do. Well, we won't tell. Well, you did today, but we won't spoil it today. Yeah, we won't spoil that for people. Believe me, you'd expect nothing less. We throw the odd question in that the players aren't expecting. We had a right good laugh with a couple of the questions that we posed from today. So it's serious, but as we are at Super League Raw, we also like to put a bit of light and shade in terms of what we do. Steph will be joining us shortly, but we can't dilly-dally, so we're going to have to kick off with this. Banging or hanging? Yes, so it's banging or hanging time here at Super League Raw. The only way, of course, that we know how to do the news. And we'll start off in the south of France. César Rouge, off to Toulouse. That's been announced this week. And do you know what? I like this guy. I've seen him a few times. I remember, was it 2 years ago? They came to Warrington and Rouge was outstanding. He was. I think, from a Toulouse perspective, to have somebody who's played that many Super League games, Greg, I think this is a banger. What's your thoughts, mate?
I think it's a banger for Toulouse. It brings a lot of experience, a lot of Super League experience, which maybe Toulouse didn't quite have last time around, and it showed in some of the games he played. I think this is great news. Great move for him because he's only moving down the road. And, banging for Toulouse.
No, I agree. And we'll just do a virtual banging from Joel and from Steph, because I'm sure they'd agree that is banging for them. We'll stay in the south of France. Breaking news today, Louis Dodd. I don't know if he signed it or not, but there's a lot of rumours that perhaps he's going to stay in the south of France for an extra year, up to 2027, before ball is even passed.
Yeah, a lot of chat on social media on this one. Has he played a game for them? Has he impressed in pre-season training? Has somebody been sniffing around him and they've tied him down? They're obviously impressed with the kid, and fair play to him. He's had a bit of a rough ordeal down under. So in the south of France, maybe it suits him. Maybe it suits his game. As Billy's put in the chat, only 23 as well. So, I think it's banging for him. It ties up his long-term future, which shows they've got confidence in him as a player as well, which can't harm him in any way.
Well, the checkbook's been out in Catalan because also signing up until the end of 2027 is Espero Bichet, who has also signed till 2027. Again, in the same mould of the likes of the George Flanagans, etc. It's going to be interesting to see how Bichet, he's got competition this year, but how Bichet kicks on in 2026. Started the season really well last year, faded a little bit as it went on, but I think good business, banging for me. Your thoughts on this one, Greg?
Again, couldn't agree more with you. A banging bit of business. He's one of those players that I think will be around for a while and has got I nearly said it then, and will set Super League on fire over the next few years. He's a great talent. Really love watching him play. The kid's fearless. He's fearless. Maybe his pathway was blocked by Tompkins and Morg. Really forgot his name then, Arthur Morg. But, this is his time now to establish himself and really fulfill what he's got to offer to Super League.
Sean Spencer building up his part in the chat, saying good to see us today in and around the Warrington Media Day. Says he's the longest ever fan. Don't think he's talking Super League Raw there, dear me, Sean. I think you're building your part up a little bit there, Chief. But no, you have been around for quite a while. And now, by popular demand, here he comes. Master Sale is with us. Hello there, Steph. How are you doing, mate? You okay?
Good evening, everyone. Hope you're well.
Yeah, in the world of Dallas, JR needs to be in the middle. But anyway, that's by the by. You could be my Sue Ellen to JR any day, Mr. Sale.
Does that make me Bobby?
No, Mandy Winger makes me on the
side. I'm not getting in the shower then if I'm Bobby Ewing.
Hey, that's enough about me and you in showers. What goes on at Magic stays at Magic, sir. But anyway, as the kids are watching. But no, hopefully you've kept up with that, Steph. So just one word from you. Cesar Rouge to Toulouse, hanging or banging?
Oh, banging. Yeah, really good move for him. And he might get a bit more time at Toulouse as well.
Absolutely. Good sentence. Lewis Dodd, extra 12 months at the Catalan Dragons, hanging or banging?
Banging.
Banging. And Espero Bichet, an extra year.
Banging as well.
Banging as well. Let's stay in the south of France. A lot going on in the south of France this weekend, because of course this time last week there was the rumour Cruz leaving off, Ollie Partington in. That has come true. Let's deal with these two in isolation. Steph, as you've just joined us, I'll go to you first on this one. Oliver Partington, we're big fans of Ollie, especially defensively. A 5-year contract. That's the bit that surprised me. Not the move, but yet again, Wigan signing somebody up on a very lengthy deal. Matt Peake going out and saying that they're delighted that they brought him back to the club. They announced him as a prop. I'm not so sure about that personally. But no doubt about it, it strengthens them defensively, doesn't it?
Yeah, played more of his time at 13, hasn't he, Ollie? So, and exceptional defender, brilliant defender, and I think him and Ellis will be fantastic for Wigan. 5-year deal's massive for any player to get. So, it's great for him. Really banging for him, and I think it will add to Wigan's squad definitely. I am concerned with Lehman going the other way though. I think it's Forbert, the other hooker.
Tom, yeah.
Yeah, so he'll get some game time, which is great for a young lad. But Lehman was really good for Wigan for the past 2 years, so I'm surprised. I know it's only on a year loan and he's going to return to Wigan, but still surprised with that one. But no, great for Ollie to go to a club like Wigan is fantastic, and I think he deserves that shot at a massive club like Wigan.
Yeah, I think it's banging for both teams, isn't it? And I think the thing there, I take your point, Steph. I think the thing there for me is the fact that, Matt Peake's got to look at his train set. There's clearly a gap in the forwards. He must have complete faith that Tom Forbert can do a job in terms of a rotation. There might be other players as well that he might be earmarking. I mean, could we see a Farrimond maybe put in, because he's got the game? Could he be in there as a makeshift 9 as a possibility? I think it's good business. And, we wish Ollie well. Greg, would you agree? Both clubs, this is a banger?
Oh, yeah, without doubt. Matty Peake definitely as you say, Nice has seen what happened in the grand final. They didn't win a trophy last season after scooping a lot the season before. Wants to tighten his defence up. Ollie Partington, I think, was top tackler last season, if I'm not mistaken. Clearly, maybe losing Cruz Leeming on a year's loan is more salary cap than anything else. Tom Forber did well last season in the games he played. I think he broke his arm though, didn't he? And was out for a long time. I think it's a banging move. Gives Cruz Leeming a year to enjoy himself in the French sunshine, and shores up that defence. So he's put in the chat. Maybe he might have been a decent replacement for Knowles at St Helens, but he's not. He's gone to Wigan. He's got 5 years, and yeah, I think it's a banging move.
Well, I have to say there were rumours of that last year.
Yeah.
That he was going to Saints, and of course Paul Rowley rates Ollie Partington really well as well. But yeah, I think good move this for all concerned. We wish them well with regards to that. We'll come to Duffy. Matt Duffy signing for the South Sydney. Joel tonight, and I've gone to Joel on this as a South fan. I think he's probably there to bolster the squad. That's the way it looks from where I'm sitting. I think South Sydney Rabbitohs fans, I think recruitment has been a big problem for them over the last few years down under. But as far as Duffy's concerned, I actually felt he'd go to second grade and try and resurrect his NRL career from there. Greg, will start with you as his ex-Warrington. I think this is, dare I say it, he must be pinching himself. This is a big, big opportunity for Matt Duffy. I mean, it's banging for him, and he's got to take the opportunity.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it is a banging move. I think that it's been said that he will start reserve grade. But, if he takes his opportunity, and yeah, he's got to grab that opportunity. Things went a little sour for whatever reason at Warrington. For the first couple of seasons, he was knocking on the Man of Steel door a couple of seasons ago, but for injury. Recaptures that form. A few injuries, why can't he be in there and playing his trade in the NRL? Banging move for Matt there, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we'd all agree with that. Steph, in the spirit of time, we'll go to the next one. Wakefield Trinity, I don't know if you saw this, going to, again, Rugby League. So much to celebrate. We keep saying it. Everything's looking rosy in Rugby League by the TV deal. That's the cherry on top. But Wakefield Trinity, massive season last year. They've now been granted by the council the ability to extend the North Stand, and their capacity on completion will be just shy of £11,500. What a great story Wakefield Trinity is. That's 11,500, about 11,500 people. 11,500 people. What a great story Wakey is, and that's great for the sport, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. And to be able to stay where you are and develop is massive as well. We've seen clubs like Salford have to move to new stadiums outside of Salford, which cost them dearly. So great that they're being able to develop where they are. That's right in the the heartland of Wakefield there. So and to go to an 11,500 stadium is fantastic. But we're going to have to see this from other teams as well. The standards are moving forward all the time and getting better and better. And what they've done at Wakefield already is great. But it's not the finished article, and by doing this, it's going to make a massive difference to that stadium again. And all you can ask for with these Super League teams now, under the IMG process, is to just keep improving. And Wakefield are one of those clubs that are doing it both on and off the field.
Well, in the interest of neighbourly love, good evening, Mr. Jepson. Hope you're well. I'll just leave that one in the ether. That's what maybe Steph might have been getting at. But there you go. Absolutely. Well, Adi Simpson. Do you know what, Adi? Is Adi in the chat saying no, Joel? He thought he bumped his head last week over his comments reference Bradford. Maybe he's running scared because he also knows that we're talking about his beloved Huddersfield tonight and Castleford. So, do you know what, Adi? You might not be wrong there, mate. You might be running scared. I'm sure. Give him right to reply next week. Speaking of extensions, though, let's stay with Huddersfield Giants. Brilliant business. George Flanagan till 2029. Huddersfield Giants, Greg. This had to be done. I think if ever there was a player at Huddersfield that is that beacon of hope, it's George Flanagan.
Yeah, and now start to look to build your team around him and other youngsters coming through. A banging bit of business for both parties, I think. Really impressed with what I've seen of him. I think he's clearly a future England international. And yeah, I think now's the time for clubs to start, as a few are doing, now's the time for clubs to start looking at the youngsters. We've expanded Super League to 14 teams. Start looking at youngsters and start looking at how you can now build your team around these kids that are coming through, because there's some exceptional talent coming through from the reserves and from the academy squads.
Yeah, I mean, look, the competition for places in the England squad in 3 or 4 years' time is going to be in certain areas. I mean, and fullback is absolutely one of them. I think it's a very valuable point indeed. Very, very well made. All of us would say banging, and I think Joel would be swinging from the chandelier if he was here with regards to that one, but he's not. So we'll just have to imagine him swinging from the chandelier. Before we get to Steph's beloved Leigh, it'd be remiss of us to not discuss Shaun Wane's departure. I don't really want to talk about Shaun Wayne departing because we've discussed that. We were discussing that during the Ashes, that we felt that there was going to be a change, and we were, pretty much, I feel like a little bit ahead of the curve. We went there probably before others did. I know this week, since the announcement, there's a lot of noise around Shaun and what did he walk, did he get on all around. We've done that. That's gone. Shaun will now carry on his duties at Wigan, I'm sure. I think the real story is who's taking over. And, I'll just, in the spirit of debate, let's just, who's your favourite? So, Steph, if it was you, it's your train set, what name would you pluck out and why?
I'd have Paul Rowley. I don't think Paul will do it because he's got a massive task. Obviously, St Helens there as a brand new coach going in, but I think just from the style of play he plays and the way he gets players playing and the respect he has of the players, and he's been made no secret of the fact that he wants to do it as well. And I think that's half. It's all well and good getting somebody in. Do they actually really want to do it? And I'd question things like, when we had Wayne Bennett in there, was it just a money thing? Did he really want to do it? Paul, I know, would throw, all the passion in the world. That's it. And I think that's 90% of it in an international coach, because they're not going to teach these players anything. They're not teaching them moves. It's motivation. So yeah, I would have Paul Rowley.
I mean, we were at the today. We were, of course, at Warrington, and there was a lot of questions posed to Sam about England. A couple of them have already appeared on social media, which is pretty much palmed off a little bit, which you would expect anything less. I mean, that's to be there. But yeah, I agree with you. I think, look, Paul would jump at it. We know Paul, he's very passionate about his nation, and nothing to give him greater honour than to coach England. But I think unless they won it, and which is very highly unlikely, I think whoever takes this gig is more than likely, lads, it's a one gig show, really, is what I would say. So maybe Paul will be better placed to just wait until it comes around the next time, just allow himself to settle in at Saints. And if things are going well at Saints, he can then accept it going down the pan, down the path of paths and blocking paths. We're talking a lot of paths today. Greg, your thoughts, mate? Who'd be your pick?
Yeah, I tend to think that Paul Rowley will be ideal, but in a few years' time, like you say, Dave, let him see what he can do at St Helens first. I'm sure, if he proves himself and guides St Helens to a few trophies, in a few years' time, his name will be top of the list. With the situation with internationals with England at this point, it's kind of a pointless thing appointing a full-time coach, as far as I'm concerned, because
it's going to be part-time, isn't it?
It's pointless looking for a full-time coach. So if we're planning towards the World Cup, I would, if I was the RFL or whoever makes these decisions, I'd be looking for who the best coach around is at this moment in time. And you've got two. One won a quadruple the year before, and one won the treble last year. Willie Peters, he's an Aussie. So he may, although, there are rumours flying around that he's expressed an interest. So Willie Peters on a part-time basis, okay, our fans don't start panicking. Because, he proved last year that he can successfully coach a team. Or Matty Pete, because he's done the same thing the season before. So for me, on a short-term, part-time basis, one of those two, a long-term looking at somebody like Paul Rowley, depending on how he gets on at Saints.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, in terms of this country and who's played the trade in this country, they're the pick, aren't they? Willie Peters and Matt Pete in terms of what they achieved. The only thing with Matt Pete for me is that the Wigan connection, that if Matt Pete followed Shaun Wayne, would people go, it's a Wigan party at the Rugby Football League, which would be unfair because, Matt would be getting it on what he's achieved. But, we know what social media is like. We know what it's all about. I do think there'd be a lot of hot air where that was concerned. In the chat, Fraser Howard saying Brad Arthur has thrown his hat into the ring, which is interesting. I mean, I like to see, and again, people would argue it might hold England back, but like I like to see an English coach in charge of the English team. That and I think we've got to back our English coaches and allow them that opportunity to shine. But yeah, very interesting. I'll tell you somebody who and credit to other journalists and podcasts out there. A name that has been gone for a while, and they've thrown the name out. Is Brian McDermott. Of course, he's down in Australia, and that was a good shout. To be fair, because obviously he is down there. He can see the Samoans, the Tongans, the Australians, the New Zealand boys close up because he's down there. Get a good coaching structure in the UK, get them working on his behalf in the UK in terms of meetups, do a Zoom meetup from Australia, and he can do the due diligence in Australia and all of that. And do you know what? The more I thought about that as an idea, I thought, do you know what? That is not a bad shout. Brian McDermott, let's be fair, did incredible things at Leeds. So that'd be interesting in one as well. So will Brian McDermott say one thing's for certain? Just like a review of an England Ashes series, this is probably going to go on for a few weeks and months. So we'll keep coming back to it. I don't want to hold Steph any longer. Let's talk the Leigh Leopards. And first things first, he said it here last week. He hinted at it last week. Yamala Hanley signs till 2028. People were circling the crown jewels, sir. And you managed to get him over the line. You must be delighted, Steph.
Yeah, it was funny how there was an article of 4 places for Maya Hanley to go, and then the day afterwards Leigh announced his extension, which I thought was impeccable timing by the Leigh Leopards there. Very, very, very amusing. But no, he was outstanding. Made the dream team for us last year. Really come on leaps and bounds. And I know Adrian Lamb is a massive fan of him. Like we were saying about Flanagan, I think we're building a team around players like Maya Hanley. So really good that we've kept hold of him. And I think more so it shows players want to be at Leigh as well when you've got those other opportunities. And I'm led to believe he was offered more money to go elsewhere as well and stayed at Leigh. So that tells you a lot about where Leigh Leopards are at the moment.
And I think that's a very valid point in the fact that if those, you might, money's money. And we all say, how many times we heard Steph say over the last few years that contracts mean nothing, money, and I get that. But that said, I think what that probably says about Yamila is that for a couple of grand, he'd rather be in a club that's got a better opportunity of winning a trophy than the one that he's trying to sign him. And I think that's quite refreshing. I think that is quite refreshing. And I think that's probably why he's rejected whoever those clubs are, because in his opinion, and he's close to it at the Leopards stand the better chance of perhaps getting the hand on silverware. Very, very refreshing. Indeed, I have to say that. If our friend over in the football world, Kevin Phillips, is watching, good evening, Kevin. Hope you're well on benches. But anyway, that's by the by. Right, we've got to go there, Greg. Now, here it is. The Leigh Leopards away kit 2026. Now, I said to Steph before we came on air, was Derek smoking that shirt before he designed it? I'm only joking. I know it's a jungle. Gotta have a bit of a giggle. It's out there. But what do you make of that, Greg? Hanging?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's very, very Stone Roses from a distance. So I like it.
You like it? You're banging. You're saying that's banging.
There's been a trend over the last few seasons for away shirts to be a little bit out there. We've had pink, we've had lilac.
Yeah.
We've had all sorts of concoctions.
We have.
Why not? I like it. I think it stands out. It's a talking point. Really like it.
Yeah, I think it's right. It could be one of those. Shirts where when you see it up close, it really does grow on you. It's a good job that Steph wasn't wearing it. We wouldn't be able to see him, all that camouflage. But Steph, go on, mate. We know you're a fan of a polo, mate. And I mean a shirt, not the mint. Other mints are available. Your thoughts on your away threads, my friend?
I really like this one, actually. I think it's nice. I like the colours. It's one I don't think we've had before in terms of the green and black. And it is like a jungle theme. They do look better when they're actually seen close up rather than on pictures. I know I wasn't a big fan of the home shirt when I initially saw the pictures, but having got it now, it's not too bad. It's probably the best way I can put it. But no, I think the whole thing with Leigh Leopards is it's out there, isn't it? It's not going to be for everybody, but the Leigh Leopards fans will love it, I'm sure.
Well, absolutely. What we know about the Leigh Leopards fans, mate, is that you could wrap up a you-know-what and they'd buy it. They're very passionate when it comes to putting money in the coffers of the Leopards, regardless of what glitter is thrown at it. So, yes, very nice indeed, boys. That's been an outstanding edition of Banging or Hanging. Some things you just don't change because there's no point in changing them. They work. It's as simple as that. Now, we did say at the start of the show, I think Joel is running scared. You know, if Roy Orbison will be turning in his grave that Joel isn't here tonight. You know, Frozen a grenade last week, and then he does one. If you didn't watch the show last week, or actually Gareth Hutchins, you missed it, Gary. I give you a big plug earlier on for your super chats last week, and apologise profusely, mate. You'll have to watch it on rerun. But Gary's with us. But yes, if you missed the show last week, this is what Mr. Scholes said when we were reviewing Bradford. I'll let you kick off. You're top of the screen under me. Your thoughts, mate? I mean, some very well-known names there.
Yeah, you know, if you're asking, are they going to finish bottom? Not a chance, no. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's a better squad than Castle's got. And that's no disrespect.
Rich has turned off. You've just made Rich turn off.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you know, look, end of the day, you know, you've just got to see it as you see it. You know, not saying that Castle aren't going to do well this season, but that is, I think, quite a slightly stronger squad. And you know, you've got Wacker Blake in there, Ethan Ryan, Dan Russell. You got loads of good players in there. You know, Guy Armitage. We saw how Guy were playing in the Championship. He were really good when he were at Toulouse, wasn't he?
Toulouse, yeah, it was Toulouse, yeah. Guy.
Yeah, Jaden Nikarima, Eason Masters. God, the list goes on. Joe Miller. They're just.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, if we were playing bingo, God, he can drop a name, can Joel, can't he? He can drop a name. But that's what he said, and it got the Castleford Tigers fans filthy this time last week. We have run a poll on our social medias. Will the Bradford Bulls finish higher than the Castleford Tigers? And at the moment, that poll is 55% in favour of Bradford finishing above the Castleford Tigers. Which is unbelievable. And in terms of votes, you know, we're talking hundreds of votes there into that poll. So interesting. Like I say, the Castleford Tigers fans last week were filthy. So let's take a look then at their squad. I'm going to have to go and find it. I'll tell you what, in my haste, have I put two? I put two Huddersfield ones in. So no problem. We'll just get this changed. Live TV, always good fun, isn't it? Let's get this done. But yeah, Castleford Tigers. I mean, I have to say, boys, I was a little bit surprised when Joel went there last week. Yourselves, were you surprised that he went there?
I think Cass are probably a work in progress this season because they've made a lot of changes, brought a lot of players in, released a lot of players. So not so much surprised as a kind of a watch this space. You know, that they've got a new halfback in there, they've got a new coach, a lot of new faces have come in. So for me, it's as I say, a work in progress, a new one for the bingo sheet there.
A new one for the bingo sheet. I'm hurriedly, do you know what? In my haste, boys, I haven't even downloaded it. I mean, how disrespectful to our, you know, Castleford Tigers faithful. Were you a bit taken aback, Steph, when Joel went there last week?
It's a big shout, isn't it? Considering the bringing in Ryan Carr as coach and the players that Casa brought in as well to, you know, improve that side. They have had a lot of outgoings as well. And I think the biggest thing with Cass is it's another unknown. Everything's brand new again, isn't it? They've changed a hell of a lot, so it's going to go one way or the other, isn't it? For Castleford, they're going to, you know, significantly improve, or they're going to stay where they were. I'm on the opinion I think they'll get better than they were last year. And Bradford have got a lot to prove as well. So, but there's no doubting Bradford have brought in some quality players, and none more so than Nikarima and Milne. I really like that halfback combination, and I think that'll go really well. And I think out of all the three promoted teams, I think Bradford will do the best, not to spoil any of our predictions. But I do see them with the strongest squad out of York. and Toulouse and Bradford. But time will tell whether Joel was right or wrong. But I'd be very disappointed as a Castleford fan if they finished below Bradford.
Well, okay, let's give Volstagg his day in the sun. Good evening, chaps. Looking forward to his first trip of the year to the Brewdog Stadium for Matty Lee's testimonial this weekend. He's gone in with a drink for us. Thanks very much indeed, Volstagg. Well, let's take a look at this Castleford Tigers squad. We got there in the end. For those listening on the podcast, Blake Taff has come in, of course. Semi Valamé is on one wing, and Michaeli Ravalawa is on the other side. Zach Sinney and Darnell McIntosh in the centre. Arcee and Tom Weaver, of course, brought in from the NRL. He's in the half-back position. We're for Tony, Liam Hood, George Lawler, Jordan Lane, Alex Mellor, the captain, Joe Stimson, of course, who joined them last year. Brock Grayson, he's there as well. Jack Ashworth, Joe Westerman, Chris Atkin, Fletcher Rooney, Brad Singleton, Lewis Senior, Jason Gary, the man they named twice, Jimmy Beckett, which is an interesting one, Jensen Windley, Sam Hall, Alfie Lindsay, Kane Robb, George Hill, and Ramon Silva, which, to be fair, as I've read those out for people on the podcast and people are watching them on screen, they're all recognisable names. Most of them are really recognised. Alfie Lindsay maybe not so much, but the rest of them should be pretty well known to people. I mean, the departures. I mean, let's talk that. I mean, look, first things first. Castleford Tigers for the last few years under Craig. Before Craig, Craig was working very, very hard when he was there to try and get something out of the squad that he inherited. Then, of course, Maguire came in, and from the outside looking in, quality. There just seemed to be just not quite right, patchwork quilt or whatever you want to say. And the departed list is unbelievable. Tex Hoy, Sam Wood, Tom Amone, of course, who was only on loan. In his senior, Ron Milnes, Ben Davies, Jeremiah Simbikin, Judarimbu. He's there twice for some reason. George Griffin, Luke Cooley, Josh Hudson, Maurice Mustafa, Sylvester Namo, Josh Sim, of course, going to cast, Will Tate, Daniel Okoro, and Lee Kershaw. I mean, again, massive surgery in terms of what they have done. I mean, look at that. So what we go in there? 3, 6, 9, 12, 21 players out there. And then on the other side, you've got 12 coming in. So, there's been a massive streamlining of the squad, no doubt about that whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, look, let's pick a few out. I mean, first things first, Blake Taff, ex Canterbury Bulldogs, of course, 48 appearances, 8 tries down there in the NRL, played a lot of Queensland Cup as well, and done really, really well. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Blake Taff is an upgrade on Tex. I mean, I gave Tex a load of grief, and everybody, but to be fair, at Cass, he improved significantly. But if I'm going to be honest and open, I do think that Blake Taff is an upgrade on Tex Hoy. Steph, would you agree?
Yes, I would. Yeah, I think Taff's a really exciting player, and I think a lot of people won't have heard of him. And I think he's going to really put some good performances in this year. And he's one I'm definitely excited to see at Castleford this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, Greg, we come to the two wingers. Now, again, people might not know these two wingers. If you do your research on them, you know what? This could be exciting. You've got to get the ball out to him. That's the first thing. You've got to get the ball out to him. But let me tell you, Semi Valamé, great pace, can score the acrobatic tries. He's got power. He has got power. He's got a one try in the 2-game ratio in terms of his performances down under. And then on the other side, you've got Michaeli Ravalawa, who is on a 3-year contract from the Cowboys. And what I would say about this player, Greg, is if he's very much Ryan Hall. If you think that he is a Ryan Hall winger, he's a powerhouse. But with the greatest respect to Ryan, Michaeli's a bit younger and has still got a bit of power and leg drive in terms of his speed. If they can get the ball out to these two, they are going to be destructive on the edges. There's no doubt.
Oh, without a doubt, Dave. Yeah, that's where the halfbacks come into this so importantly. That there's going to be a number 7 Tom Weaver's in there. I know you're probably going to talk about him in a little while, but that's why it's so that those halfbacks and the middles combine to get the space on the outside for these guys to do the business. Because without a doubt, as somebody's put in the chat, the back line certainly does look a lot stronger for Castleford this season. So they're exciting players on the day. As you say about Taff, I mean, he breaks the line really well as well. For me, the kind of the key is in the halves and the middles, who have got to make the space for these guys to do the work down the edges. And then you've got Gary, who's no stranger to the try line, and he's seen Lewis Senior. Sorry, his senior's gone, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Lewis Senior. You know that they can score a try or two themselves. So as somebody said in the chat, it was Andrew Kirk. Sorry, Andrew. He says that back line is a lot stronger. I would tend to agree, but I'll go back to what I said right at the top of this particular chat, that they're new players and it's new systems, and it might take a while for it to gel, for it to fall into place, with so many new faces in this squad.
Now, I know obviously Steph's happy with the senior signing over there at Leigh, but like I say, these two wingers, time will tell. It could be, they put a lot of effort into the backline structure this year. And of course, Darnell from Leigh takes the number 4 shirt. What's amazing is, I mean, and again, the Castleford fans will be like shaking their head when I say this, but Sam Wood 2 or 3 years ago was one of the best centres in Super League. He was an international, and then he got that injury in that stupid France friendly that we should never have played. And then since then he struggled. But Darnell's been brought in there. Do you know what? Steph, that is an unknown quandary, that back line. It could be phenomenal. Like I say, those two wingers will take some stopping. And Zach Sinney last year, especially when he went to fullback and attributed himself really well, fancies himself more at 3, though we know that's where he was brought in. This back line, if they get the service, could be potent.
Yeah, definitely. And I was a big fan of Zach Seedy. I think he's a really good player. The two, like you say, that they brought in on the wings could be superstars in Super League this year. Like you said, the issue is going to be getting to him. I think the only weak link for me there is Darnell McIntosh. Unless he improves on his performances at Leigh, not his fault either, because he got a bad knee injury and he just seemed his pace dropped off completely. Hence why Leigh released him, and we kind of swapped him for his senior. I think Leigh got the better half of the deal there. But putting him in at centre is even more of an alarm bell for me in terms of Darnell. So I think there's some other good things in the chat where the 1 to 13 for Cass looks really strong. It's the depth, isn't it? And if they do pick up a couple of knocks, which every club does, where do they go from there? I'm a bit thing with Taff, because I'd like to see Fletcher Rooney, who I think is probably their Flanagan, isn't it? What they've got at Huddersfield. So be interesting to see whether he gets game time as well. But the big thing for me, and I know we'll come on to, is Tom Weaver, because we saw glimpses of Dejan Arce and how good he can be, but he wasn't consistent. Whether Tom will take pressure off him, if those two can fire, then, like you say, that then gets the ball to the back line. There's more moves. They then become a very decent attacking threat. So the unknown, isn't it? It's the complete unknown at Cass this year in terms of that back line.
Yeah, interesting. I think it is an unknown back line. I think, that half-back combination is going to be very interesting to see. And I think, and again, you just look at the jigsaw puzzle and where it's at. If anything was to happen to 6 and 7, we know Chris Atkin can slot in there. They put Joe Westerman in there before now. But the depth in that area, for me, probably a little bit lacking, is what I would say. I think Jack Ashworth's a good signing. I think Jack's a good player. I think, I think for FC, he can do his stuff. Renford Tony comes in from Wakefield. Wakefield have got bags of riches in the forward line this year. Liam Hood, of course, a good signing that. Also played well for Wakey last year. He's in the side. He's got the number 9 shirt going into the new campaign, which is well under him. A couple of players been allowed to leave in terms of that position. Kane Robb as backup for that. Right, let's just they've allowed Doolan to go as well. Aidan Doolan's come in and they've allowed him to go off back on loan for Barrow. He's a 9 as well. Good little player. It'd be interesting to see how he does at Barrow. But let's go into the pack. I think that's the Achilles heel, and I think it's the same when we say Bradford. I think I think both two clubs have got lots of quality in the back line. This one, I think, is intriguing. I think Casford's is intriguing. If it clicks, it could be unbelievable. If he doesn't, and then that's when the keyboard warriors come out and say, "Yeah, I told you they were rubbish, yada yada." But I think there's genuine optimism there for Castleford in terms of their back line. It's the forward line. I mean, you look at that again. Can they get on top? Because I think they've got a back line that, if the forwards can get on top, could potentially cause teams a lot of problems. But it's how many times, same with Bradford, can this Castleford Tigers team get on top down the middle? And that is often the most crucial element. Win the middle battle and then expansive rugby league to the side. I say good acquisition, Jack. Ran off for Tony, be interesting to see. George Lawler for me. Let's talk George. Steph, for me, Lawler, when they put him at second row last year, was outstanding. I think he was in about 3 or 4 of our team in the week. Probably not 4, certainly 2 or 3. For me, he was outstanding at second row. He's not, for me personally, George isn't the prop.
I think his best performance is right after coming second row. And obviously, these are squad numbers. This is where they initially see players, but players will move about. We had it, with Owen Trout at Leigh, which is a similar position, playing second row and then playing prop. So, but no, there's no doubt about it. He's one of their better players, especially in that forward pack. It's going to be really interesting to see how he goes. And also, they brought in Jordan Lane as well, which from Hull FC, and I'm intrigued to see how. It's another Texoy, that one, isn't it, from Hull FC to Cass. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he goes. But George has got the talent. I think he could get into a lot of Super League sides.
Well, I think the thing with Jordan is his injury record, isn't it? I mean, a 4-year contract they've given Jordan, which is unbelievable, really. So, we wish Jordan well. I think, we've seen Jordan over the years, gets an eye on him here at Super League Raw, and he's a good player on his day, Jordan Lane. We just hope he has an injury-free season and can attribute himself well. Alex Bella, quality player, captain, and rightly so. Greg, I'm going to go out on a limb. I think you could have a love affair with Brock Grayston this year. Because this lad is shades of Benny Westwood. His game is just so akin to Benny Westwood, of course, the Warrington second rower that everybody knows. Brock, for me, no nonsense, very, very good work ethic, good engine. This guy's an unknown that for many people who might just take a few by surprise.
Yeah, it could be very well. Our friend from Wakefield last season had the same kind of impact that Brock may well have. Looking forward to watching him play. I think you're right, Dave. As I said when we were talking about the wings and getting the ball to him, I think you're right, and Steph as well. The pack is important for Castleford here. You've got a lot of experience in Westerman and Atkin and Mellor and players like that. For me, Brad Singleton's got to stand up. He's got to, he's got to have a good season this season. But if they can get Brock Grayson firing on all cylinders, he's going to be a handful. I agree. He could be the one that drives that middle unit forward if he's given a chance, and I no doubt he will be.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting indeed, is this one. There's no doubt about it. I just think it's I think Casper's fascinating. And then, of course, you've got Ryan Carr. What's his philosophy? What's he going to bring? This time last year, we were talking John Cartwright. What was he going to do at Hull FC? The rest is history in terms of how well he got Hull FC playing. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, I think one thing's for certain. I mean, we were saying this today when we were at Warrington, no ball has been passed in anger yet. And, how many times do we hear Greg Roach say it's the hope that kills you? But if you're a Castleford Tigers fan going into this year, certainly that first 5 rounds, it's optimistic. You go into it and you look at this, and it really is going to be interesting to see what this team does. We've got I wish he was here to answer for himself, but he's not. Bradford or Castleford, who finishes higher for you, Greg?
Like I say, it's a tough one. If Castleford gel and it works and they keep the pack fit, the first choice pack fit, and they don't get found out by injuries, then quite possibly Castleford. But this moment in time, with it being an unknown quandary, I'm tempted to agree with Joel and go Bradford at this moment in time.
Steph, where are you going?
Some of the signings, I think Castleford got better than they were last year. And like I say, a lot will depend on Tom Weaver and Arcee combination. If them two click, I think they'll finish. I think they'll be close to the playoffs. Actually,
Ooh, so you're going Cass.
yes.
You're going Cass. I'm going Cass as well. Look, Tom Weaver, I mean, got great feet. Great
Yeah.
feet. Loves to show and go. Very dynamic. And I think, again, I see Weaver. Oh, that could be interesting. It could be interesting. So I think, one, because of the Super League experience that they got, I do think that, yeah, there's just something saying I'm excited about that back line. And for me, I think Joel went a step too far last week. For me personally, I think Castleford will stay. I think a good season, I don't know where I'm going to put him. I think a great season for Castleford this year is ninth. I'm just going to say that off the bat. When you consider who finished above them last season in Super League, they've all got stronger and they've probably got a lot more strength in depth as well. I think that squad, once injuries are going to hit all squads, I don't see that squad and its current guys, once injuries here and there kick in, can possibly finish above those who finished above them last season. Perhaps, and I'd throw Huddersfield into that mix as well, if I'm being perfectly honest. I just think if they finish ninth, which would be one above Huddersfield potentially, or somebody else, that'd be a great season. I would expect them to finish ahead of the three teams that have been promoted, but have been wrong before.
It's such a loaded question because they've got so many new faces and a new coach as well. It's just one of those where the more you look into it, kind of the jigsaw, the longer you go into the season, the more apparent it becomes whether these players fit, whether they've got the units right, whether Bradford have got the fit. For me, at this moment in time, they're too much of an unknown quantity, Castleford. They have strengthened, there's no doubt. But as we say, a couple of injuries in the pack, and they may well struggle.
Yeah, it's going to be
that's my
fascinating.
2 penneth anyway.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating. I really do. And like I say, I think Joel threw a grenade there last week. I can't agree with me old muck about. I do think Castleford just shade it. But one thing's for certain, I think when those teams play each other, they're going to be entertaining games of rugby league. They really, really are, and that's the beauty of our sport. Is no game in rugby league is a given. We know that. And when the Bradford Cassies come to town and meet each other, I think it's going to be absolutely wonderful. Right, we're now going to take a look. People actually made, in fact, yeah, before we go there, people asked last week actually. Where's the because for those who were with us last year, you will remember that we did the who's your rising star, who's the one who's got a point to prove and all that. In the interest of time, we're going to do that off air. We're going to cascade that separately this season, but we are still going to do it, and you can be able to comment on that as we go through the next few weeks. But we're not going to do it live on air, but we are going to get everybody's rising star, the point to prove, and the one that they're really looking forward to seeing from each squad. So there you jolly well go. Right, we're now going to move over to the Huddersfield Giants. And, of course, they've announced a new vice-captain, and that man is Harry Rushton. So here we are with Harry Rushton of Huddersfield Giants going into the new 2026 season. Harry, how are you, mate? You well?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Yeah, very good.
Superb, mate, superb. So first things first, new season on the horizon. How are you going, mate? How in terms of fitness, will you be ready for round one?
Yeah, personally, I'll be ready for round one. Yeah, I've had a bit of a knock to my knee early on in pre-season. Did a grade 2 MCL, which is tear of my medial ligament. Had me out for 6 weeks so far. I'm hoping to be back in the next couple of weeks, so I shouldn't miss any of the competitive games. Just a bit of a shame that I've missed a lot of the pre-season sort of rugby, but if it's a good time to do it, it's start pre-season in it, so I won't miss any competitive games. I should be back for the first Charge Cup game.
And I've got to ask about Adam Swift, obviously a massive loss for Huddersfield Giants last year. How's Adam doing?
Oh yeah, he's been doing great. Physio's obviously now have to pull him out of training now and again. Might monitor his load, but yeah, he's a massive asset to us. As we seen in the York game the other day, he was great for us again. He carries that backfield is something that we missed massively last year.
And you mentioned York there. I was speaking to Craig Lingard earlier today, and I said that even though that's a pre-season game, I just felt Huddersfield needed to win that. After what was a disappointing last year, we know injuries took the part in that. I just felt even though it was a pre-season game, it was important to just get that field goal factor and to get a win. Was that the feeling in the camp?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. We went into the game, Robbo just wanted the lads to do the fundamentals, our cornerstones of our game that we kind of want to build our game off all year. And all in all, the lads did that, and obviously we came out with a win. I feel like watching the game, we drowned them, which was good to see. And probably, well, maybe the scoreline didn't really reflect the game. They could have scored a few more, I guess, but I think we were a lot more on top than what the scoreline says.
Great to sit down with Harry Rushton, and the full interview with Harry Rushton is available for our members tomorrow morning from 7 a.m. You will be getting the link to that. We sat down with Harry for the best part of 15, 16, maybe even 20 minutes, can't remember what it was, talking all things Huddersfield Giants. So you Giants fans out there, you members, lucky you get Harry an exclusive interview with Super League Raw. That will be available for you at 7 a.m. in the morning. Right, okay, let's get into the Huddersfield Giants squad then, boys. Don't know why Kalepi Tangano's come up there. Clearly didn't change the slide from last week. Absolutely shocking. Anyway, there's the team. There is the team for your viewing pleasure. And look, I think there's a couple of big decisions in here. Couple of big decisions in here. Let's start with you, Reggie. I think the first decision that Luke Robinson has got, who starts one? Niall Evans, George Flanagan. That is a great problem to have.
It is a huge problem. And as I was saying earlier on, Flanagan's the type of player you build your team around. Now you have to start doing that. Niall Evans, though, brings a lot of Super League experience, a lot of top flight experience. I think he will probably start with Niall Evans, and bring Flanagan through. I think Flanagan, if I remember correctly, had a few knocks last season. So he probably will start with Niall Evans. Just to get that experience at the back. That is a decent back line. Again, another decent back line. If they stay fit, that's, as Warrington found out last season, that's a back line, or most of that back line can trouble a lot of teams if it stays fit, injury-free. I think that's been the kind of the story of Huddersfield the last couple of seasons. That they've been hit hard by injuries. But for me, I think he'll start with Evans and he'll nurture Flanagan and bring him through.
Yeah, talking then of the back line, let's go for it for people on the podcast. Swift and Halsall on the wings, Jacob Gagai, Tane Milne 3 and 4. But they have got depth in the centre positions. Of course, Liam Sutcliffe, who I think played at the weekend and had a decent game, I'm led to believe, for Huddersfield against York. He's there as well, of course, out last season with injury. Connor Carr can also go in there. So that's their back line. In the forwards, you've got Tristan Powell, Wolford at hooker, Burgess, Asher O'Donnell, Hewitt, Rushton, Fenton Rogers, Matty English, George King, Joe Greenwood, Kieran Rush, Liam Sutcliffe, Matthew Cossa, George Flanagan's at 21, Jack Billington 22, Chris Patello, who I believe he's ripping up trees, Connor Carr, Jacob Algar, Archie Sykes, Marshall Land, Logan Blacker, and Oliver Russell. Forgive me, we did not give just desserts when we talked Castleford Tigers. Just thought about this now. It'd be wrong of me not to just quickly go back. Jimmy Beckett, Featherstone Rovers, given the opportunity at Castleford this year. Spoiler alert: he could be the one. He could be a one to watch. He could be one to watch. It'll be interesting to see how that young man plies his trade in Super League. Right, that's the first headache. Then Flanagan for me, Steph. I mean, again, halfback combination. You've got Adam Clune, you've got Tui Lolohea, you've got Ollie Russell that have been thrown into the mix, and we know Flanagan can play there as well. Flanagan last year was Huddersfield's big player. Everybody wanted to see him. He had a tremendous season, undroppable, in fact. If Greggy's right and Evans starts fullback, it's highly unlikely he's not playing Clune as captain and Tui Lolohea as 6. That ain't happening. So Flanagan, does he even get a starting spot on the bench? And that, for me, if it pays off and they get off to a flying start, not a problem. But if Huddersfield Giants get off to a slow start and Flanagan, for whatever reason, isn't around it, that's where pressure builds for Luke.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what may happen is they'll move Evans to the wing to play Flanagan at 1. And I think that's more than like, because I think Hull did something similar, didn't they? Didn't they have Evans there at some points? So I can definitely see that happening. When you've just signed someone on a massive deal like they've got, an extension like they give to Flanagan, he's not a rookie anymore. He's proved that what he can do at Super League level. I can't see him not being a regular in this team this season. Like we've already said, he's a player that Huddersfield should be building a team around. If he's not getting game time, I think Huddersfield aren't winning, then we will see some grumblings, I think, from the Giants fans. For me, he has to start at one. I would definitely play Evolds, but I think I would put him on the wing.
Well, Andy Beebe in the chat saying top 6 Giants. Our Carbal Army fans would love that. That's a big shout from Andy, I have to say. Asher O'Donnell, of course. Everybody knows Brother Kai. By all accounts, going very, very well in there. Again, Harry does talk to me in that extended interview about the new signings. So look forward to that tomorrow morning, the members. But yeah, I mean, again, you look at the departed list there, Jake Bibby. Do you know what? It's interesting who they've allowed to go. It does feel like, again, very like Castleford. They've had a bit of a clear. They've had a little clear. I mean, it's not, these are players that, I know Elliot Wallace was in and out of the team. Often that came as a consequence of injuries. Of course, went down. He's now playing down at London. But yeah, I mean, who they've lost, it feels a little bit of a clear out, a bit of a cleanse. Squadish players, and they brought in, for me, in the shape of O'Donnell, Patello, even Ollie Russell, players that will be in and around starting 17, and that can only bode well, Greg, for Huddersfield.
Yeah, and I think they might have strengthened in the middles as well. Chris Patello is a huge unit, NRL experience for the Bulldogs. Huge guy. Asher O'Donnell as well is no slacker in the middle there. So I think, whereas we're talking about Casford and saying they're a bit of an unknown quantity, yes, they've strengthened in the back line. I think Zach Wolford as well is big for them this season. It's his second season in Super League. He again, another one of those players that took an injury quite early in the season and struggled a little bit to regain the form. But on his day, he's one of the best hookers in the comp. So I think, they've. I'm not going to say Deadwood because that would be unfair of me, but I think they've got rid of players where they've maybe recognised they need an upgrade. Let me put it better that way, maybe. But I think. And again, we've said this the last few seasons, Huddersfield on paper, if they can stay injury-free, are going to trouble a lot of teams. And it's that staying injury-free that has let them down so often in the past. So fingers crossed for Giants fans. Andy Bibby says top 6. Stay injury-free and anything can happen.
Oh, injury-free, they'll cause a lot of problems. Yeah. Speaking of Jake, he scored for Oldham at the weekend.
He did, yeah.
For Oldham at Salford, didn't he? Great to see the championship back. Really enjoyed the London game. And Tara Jones, who, and again, not Tara's fault that the commentator on the London Witness used the same feed as the referees. That's not Tara's fault. People, of course, getting stereo Tara. That's not Tara's fault, but I felt the way she officiated that was very, very good. And again, members, open your ears. Tomorrow, I will be sitting down for an extended interview with Tara Jones, MBE. That is also on the way for you. So plenty of good stuff on the way this week. But yeah, there you go. That is Huddersfield Giants. I think injuries is key. Keeping them all fit and on the field will be critical for them. And if they can do that, I think we'd all agree they will trouble teams. There's no doubt about that. Fully fit Huddersfield Giants will trouble teams. Let's hope for all of our Cowbell Army followers that they have a better 2026. They've certainly got the personnel. And I think the final point on this is let's hope Adam Swift stays injury-free.
Yeah.
We really missed Adam last year as a neutral. We love Adam Swift. Great pro, great player. Let's hope he has an injury-free campaign. Wonderful stuff. Right, let's get the little lad out. Here he comes.
What Would Oliver Say is proudly sponsored by South Coast Lane Carpets. From shag pile to vinyl, nylon to wool, you are guaranteed to find the right fit for your home. Contact them today and tell them Oliver sent you. This is What Would Oliver Say at Super League Raw. So we're all excited for the start of the new season, and I missed it that much that I decided to watch the London v Widnes game. One thing I noticed was the crowd, and the commentators mentioned they managed to get an attendance of over 4,000, which is way above the championship average from last season. It shows people are interested and they're buying into their team and they want to watch Rugby League in London. If London can keep getting numbers like that up, it's a great news not just for them but for the whole sport. They'll have been disappointed that they're not in the Super League, but this is a good step to getting themselves there. What do you think, Super League Raw?
So there you go, our little man Ollie. As always, what a great summary of the London winning this game from little Ol. Steffi's right. We said when London were up in Super League, they were starting to get a bit of momentum in the crowds. 4,500 in the stadium, led to believe over nearly 7,000 watching. Again, how many will be hooked in the London and go and watch a game at the stadium? It is a good news story. It is London. There's no doubt about it. If they have a really strong 2026, they'll be knocking on the door 27.
Really, and they were very unlucky not to be in Super League this time around. We know that to use one of Reggie Bingo potential of London, the crowds last time they were in Super League were really, really good as well. They were north of 5,000 I think average, which is pretty solid. And they've also got the Darren Lockyer factor, haven't they, there? And I know there was, I think Haskell was there from Rugby Union, not to swear on this show. But I know there was other personalities, shall we say, at that game. So they're doing things right. I think it's going to get even more exciting. And the good thing with London this year is they're going to have a winning record. We know that they're probably the strongest side in the competition. And that alone, when teams win, we know that how that affects attendances, and I'm sure that average will go up as the season goes along. For them, it's all about the IMG points, isn't it? It's all about getting those gradings up, and then if anybody at the bottom of the table next year this year is struggling, then they'll be ready to pounce. So it's exciting times for London, and they need to get things right off the field as well as on it. But everything's looking good for them at the moment with the new ownership group. The stadium's fantastic. I'd love one of those apartments that are behind the stand because you get a great view of the games. They must cost a fair bit there in Wimbledon, but no, it's all looking good. And yes, I think there was a lot of people watching that because of just to get a Rugby League fix at the weekend. But that's the beauty of the Championship at the moment, and they do get IMG points for streaming games. So not only do we get our 7 Super League fixtures now, we also get to go on YouTube and watch those as well, which is fantastic because I don't think that'll affect attendances in any way, shape, or form. But the more Rugby League on streaming channels, on any channels, is a good thing. And it was a quality game. I know London ran away with it in the end. But for the first half especially, it was really competitive.
Well, I don't know. All things for certain. Regan Campbell-Gillard is going to have a yellow or red or two. I mean, he really did go close to the grain, didn't he? Did Regan in that one? No doubt about it. That one off the ball. That's a stonewall yellow every day of the week in Super League. But no, interesting. Look, good that there was a good crowd. And we'll play our part this season with the website. We'll make sure that we've got a feed on our website to these games. They're the pick of the rounds to help them grow those viewing figures, because we know that Super League Raw followers, members, people who go on our website might not go on a London Broncos YouTube channel, etc. So we'll do the hard work. We'll make sure that we promote the Championship games this year. But no, some really good games this week, some big wins as well in there. I thought the Doncaster Halifax game was particularly an interesting one as well. We'll keep a very, very close eye on them. In the interest of time, thank you very much indeed to Southcote Lane Carpets for sponsoring Little Ol. It really is appreciated. Right, the last whistle-stop tour of this evening, we will start with Reg on this one, is the Saints. Paul Rowley's Saints, no less. And there's no doubt, I believe, the shackles will come flying off under Paul at the Saints this year. An attacking brand of rugby comes back to the Brewdog Stadium. For the interest of the podcast, we'll go through the squad. Jack Wellesby at fullback, Carl Felt, Dion Cross got 2 and 5. I won't read too much into that. Harry Robertson, Mark Percival, we'll come back to that in a minute. Tristan Saylor 6, Lomax 7, Walmsley, Clark, Matty Lee's the new captain, Curtis Sivenen, Shane Wright, David Clemmer, Jacob Host, George Delaney, Matt Whitley, George Whitby, Jake Winfield, Ignatius Parsi, Lewis Murphy, Noah Stevens, Joe Shorrocks, Jake Burns, Owen Dagnall, Nene McDonald, Jacob Douglas, Liam Cowan, who's gone out on loan, Jake Davies, Alfie Sinclair, the rising Alfie Sinclair, and Jackson Hastings. I don't know about you boys, that is a squad. When you read that, it is a squad, really is. Paul has really stacked that one in there. Departed the club, John Bennison, Joe Batchelor, Johnny Vaughan, Morgan Knowles, Moses Mbai, T. Ritson, James Bell, Ben Davies, and Dayan Sambo, I always get it wrong, but they've gone out the club. And of course, new are David Clever, Joe Shorrocks, Jacob Douglas, Jacob Host, Nene McDonald, and Jackson Hastings. Greg, like I said, that's a strong squad.
Very, very strong squad. Andy may be looking to get top 8, Saints. Next time you're out, get me some of what you're smoking, Andy, because it's good stuff. This team is going to cause problems this season. Strengthened. They've got a new coach. Paul Rowley likes to play attacking rugby league. Jackson Hastings could be, and I'm not saying he will be, but could be a masterstroke. He's worked with Paul Rowley before at Salford. Could be a masterstroke signing. You've got David Clemmer, probably best known for the boot in the face from Billy Slater down under, but he's a unit. And then you've got players like Host, who, you know, they've lost Morgan Knowles, but you got Host, who's got 119 appearances in the NRL. He's a big unit as well. And then you know, you've got the likes of the youngsters coming through who will boost that squad, no doubt. Joe Shorrocks, who's gone a little bit under the radar. As going to Saints, you've got Noah Stevens as well to bolster that pack. So this time around, if there's injuries to players like Walmsley or Lees, then they've got the players that can come in and fill that gap. Walmsley's no spring chicken. Shane Wright, I'm looking forward to seeing as well. I think, and then you've got Nene McDonald. You know, he hasn't got a lot else to prove in Super League. He's a great signing as well. So do you know what? If that all comes together and he gets his combinations right, Saints have had a few years not firing all cylinders. I think this season could be the one where they do really, really well and start to build again.
Yeah, I find it very hard to disagree. Like I say, it's going to be interesting to see what a Paul Rowley Saints looks like. I think that's what we're all intrigued about with regards to this one. Steph, couple of things here for me. Is this the first season in his long and illustrious career that Mark Percival is under genuine threat at St Helens?
Yeah, I think it could be. Whether that's through his own doing or whether it's through injury, because we know he's picked up a few knocks, hasn't he? Recently, he needs to really think, especially with how Robertson's playing. I think this is the other thing, because Robertson, for me, is one of the most talented youngsters we've got in Super League. So a lot's going to depend on that. But I think where Robertson shines offensively, Percival shines defensively. I think that's where his real strength is for Saints. He really shores up that back line. So he's going to be really. I mean, the story's all over the page, isn't there, with Saints this season? And I'll counter Andy Bibbies. They won't finish in the top 8 they won't finish outside the top 4 for me. This is a top 4 side all day for me. They've got so many things going for them. And I know they're saying that you said the pack's getting a bit old. Well, yeah, it is, but then you add in Clemmer and Horst into that, you know, that's going to make a real difference. Then you throw in Nene McDonald, who we all know has been a really good player in some poor teams. When he's got some good service, then I think he's going to go really well. Jackson Hastings could be an absolute masterstroke. You then throw in Paul Rowley as a new coach, new optimism around the club, all that kind of thing. I think the biggest problem, and it's the obvious one for Paul Rowley, is the Tristan Saylor, Jack Wellesby conundrum, because I've said many times, Tristan Saylor is not a 6 in the memory of man. And Jack Wellsby isn't a 6 in the memory of man. They're both fullbacks. So this is the biggest conundrum Paul's got to solve for me, and it'd be really interesting to see how he does that. But that squad, and we've not even talked about Owen Dagnall, who I think for me is going to be one of the most exciting wingers in Super League in 2026. And watch out, because we saw glimpses of it last year. He's going to really set the thing, and I think he will cement a starting spot. He will be a starting winger by the end of 2026, guaranteed, if the opportunity arises. So I'm really excited for Saints this year. I think, like I say, I cannot see, unless they have a massive injury crisis, this team not finishing in outside of the top 4.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is where I'm coming from with it. I think, with Nene McDonald, I think that's the threat for Percival. Robertson starts. I mean, Robertson's going nowhere. He's a shoo-in. We know Mark has had injuries. We know, and I agree with everything Steph said, and I said his illustrious career. Percival's a quality centre. But Mark Percival's always been the number one name on the team sheet type thing. And all of a sudden now, with Nene's signing, that's going to put him, for me, under genuine threat. Harry Robertson's going nowhere. I take Steph's point. Dion cross 5, don't see it. I think Dagnall takes that shit. I really do. I think Felt's got it all on. Felt's going to have to do well, because he was brought in under Paul, under Paul Wellens. There's a lot of quality there on that line. So when you go down that list of players, Greg, some of those down the pecking order in terms of shirt numbers, Jackson Hastings, he's starting 7. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
It's not going to look as that graphic suggests.
No, and he got George Whitby in the mix as well.
Yeah. Well, have we, though? That's the question.
Well, isn't it a wonderful problem to have, though?
Yeah.
If you're Paul Rowley, you're sitting back and you're thinking, it's a problem, but I'm loving it. You may even, will he put Nene McDonald on the wing if Mark Percival is 100% fit? That's another option. But whatever the options are, Paul Rowley has got a really, really nice problem there to solve. And with a squad like that, and with a season as it is, he can afford to experiment a little bit and see where his best combinations are, as can most other coaches at this point. So, yeah, you're right. I don't see Dion Cross starting. Maybe Nene McDonald goes there, but then you've got, like you say, you've got even players like Lewis Murphy who can come in there. So it's a great conundrum for Paul Rowley to have.
Yeah, it is. And I'm just wincing a little bit because I just saw Paul Fail. Good evening, Paul, all the way from Canada. Good to have your company this evening. But responding to Firesoul, who was that good, he was named twice on YouTube. Steph, don't shake in your chair here. Shades of Carl Varley, Hulk AR. Paul Fail, I'm not worried about any Super League time. We are going to be so strong. Wow, is all I would say on that. I do think Leigh will be strong. But for me, humility. There's
plenty to worry about, and none more so than the team we're looking at right now. I think the only thing for me with St Helens is the 6 conundrum. I think Whitby will end, as we said with Douglas. I think Whitby ends the season as the Saints starting 7. I could see that happening. The problem for me with Saints, and the reason why I don't think Saints will win everything this year, is they haven't got a good enough 6 for me. Unless Jackson Hastings really comes up to the standards where he was when he was at Salford, which could happen. But you could very well see a Jackson Hastings, George Whitby 6-7 by the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I mean, Andy's in the chat saying we're talking back stuff. I'll talk forwards for you, Andy, not a problem. Alex Wormsley, the number 1 forward in Super League last year. That's going to be some calamity of a drop-off. Don't get me wrong, with every passing year, he'll drop off. Nobody ran for more metres down the middle last season. Nobody did more tackle bust down the middle last season. Alex Wormsley still got something in his legs. Will he be as good as last year? Possibly not. There might be a couple of percentage points off. But Alex Wormsley will not go from best performing prop forward in Super League to the worst in the season. So, again, if they can keep him fit, let's not forget, he played all bar 1 game for Saints last year. That's good enough. Matty Lees, strong. No issues with Matty Lees. Good good work engine down the middle. I think David Clemmer might start 13, but Saints have often had that where they'll move the 13 up to prop and then bring somebody in, maybe a Darrell Clark switches to loose. He's done that in the past. So again, there's a lot of fluidity there. I think the one that for me, and I share Andy's point, Parsi was a shock. I have to say, Parsi had a really poor 25. I was very surprised when they announced that they signed him on. And Noah Stevens needs to come to the fore. And I think in Noah Stevens, there is a real dangerous front rower just waiting to be released on Super League. And then there's Alfie Sinclair, who nobody will be talking too much about, who's coming up behind that, who's equally as exciting. So for me, like I say, Saints last year, they competed in the middle. That wasn't the problem. It's the edges.
Who's the replacement 9?
Replacement 9. Well, that's again, it's going to be Burns, isn't it? So it'd be
Jake Burns, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be Jake Burns. But again, here's an interesting one for you, Steph. Just moving the crown jewels around a little bit. All right. And do you know what? Let's play a little bit of Championship Manager with St. Helens. I'm going to throw. This won't happen. But I'd say if I was a Saints fan, I tell you what, it'd make me really intrigued to go to a game. And if this was the lineup that Paul decided to put out there, there you go. Craig Forth says, "Get myself a cappuccino on the way to work. I don't do frothy stuff, mate, but I will have a latte." Thank you very much indeed. Cheers, Craig Forth, for that one. Time is ticking. Some of us have got to go and do a full night shift. But before we do all of that, here's a team for you. How interesting would this be? Jack Wellesby at fullback. I don't know if Daglow's going to be fit enough for the opening game of the season. So Kyle Felt, Harry Robertson, and I'm going to go Nene McDonald at 4, which might surprise a few. Or actually, we'll put Nene on the wing. We'll leave Mark in. So let's go Nene at 5. So Nene starts on the wing, which he can play there. At 6, George Whitby. At 7, Jackson Hastings. Alex Walmsley, Darrell Clark, Matty Lees. Curtis Sirenen, maybe Host as a start over Shane Wright. David Clemmer at 13 is where I'm going with that. That for me would be intriguing. To have Whitby at 6. And back up 9, Tristan Saylor. Now, it might seem far-fetched, but for me, Tristan, let's think of a modern-day hooker. Can he kick? Not as good as not as good as perhaps George Whitby can or Hastings can, but can he kick? Yeah, he can. Could he do it on 4-20 from the base of a play the ball like we see Danny Walker and Jez Litton do? Yeah, he could. If it's on, can he dart out a dummy half with a bit of pace? You bet you. Can he pass a ball? Yeah, he can. So when you look at the modern day number 9 and the attacking things that they're asked to do, Tristan can do that. And
Dave, I can cook a spike ball, but you wouldn't have me working at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant.
No, you wouldn't. But why wouldn't you put Tristan Saylor at 9? I'm not saying he will, but you know what? You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But this conundrum of getting all of your ducks in the team, as it were, all your flair plays in the team. Tell you what, if I saw that, if you've got Tristan on the bench, he can cover a multitude of positions should somebody go down as well. It gives you great cover on the back line. You think about that. If Tristan was the revolving 9 in battle, you could afford. If Jack Wellesby lose Wellesby, Tristan can go in there. He can go into any wing spot. He can go into any halfback spot.
He's got to play him in the middle, Dave, and he's got to have forwards running at him.
Well, yeah, and
it's not all about attack; it's defence as well.
I'm not disputing that. But I said it was interesting. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
It's very interesting.
It's an interesting concept. I'd be very surprised to see Johnny Lomax start at Warrington. Would you?
I'd be really surprised if he started at Warrington.
First game of the season, Greg. Come on, get with the program.
Yeah. I think Hastings is going to start against us. And I think he'll probably have Host over Sirenen and bring Sirenen from the bench. Even being perfectly honest, like I say, awful conundrums to have for Paul Rowley. I think he will start Nene McDonald on the wing instead of Dion Cross. If Percival's fit, he starts every time for me. But yeah, the halfbacks, he'll start Jack Wellesby at 1. he won't want to upset the apple cart. So this early on in his Saints managerial career, will he start Sailor at 6? I don't know.
Well, Sailor's off contract at the end of this season.
I think because Hastings is a Rowley guy, and Rowley knows how Hastings works, and that's clearly the reason he's gone to Saints. Because of Paul Rowley, or one of the reasons. I'll be very, very, very surprised if Hastings doesn't start at the Halliwell Jones in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's. Do you know what though? The more you look at it, it really is a fascinating squad because there's so much you can do with that squad.
And you'd have some pace with Hastings and Sailor in the middle.
Mate, there's pace all over that team. The only person with the greatest respect who's lacking a yard of pace now in that back line is Percival. Yeah, the rest of it is explosive. The rest of it is absolutely explosive pace. So they've got pace to burn. And I completely, Andy, mate, I disagree with Andy. I think the forward unit on paper is decent. There's no doubt about that. It's decent. It's going to be interesting to see what version of Clemmer we get at 32. But he can break a tackle. I think Clemmer's more. I know he's been given the 13. That might be a little bit because it was Morgan Knowles' shirt and he wanted to put a big name in it. Because of course everybody, I think we'd all agree that the one that's left Saints that's going to leave the biggest hole is Morgan Knowles, no question.
Yeah, sure. They could even put Hostin at 30 and have Clemmer propping.
I genuinely think Clemmer will be rotational in the front row, and like I said, they just wanted to put a big name in that 13 shirt just to fill it from an aesthetics point of view on a squad list like that.
Yeah.
Well, Clemmer and Surinam coming off the bench. It's not going to get any easier if you're up against that.
And Noah. Let's just hope we see a bit of Noah. Let's just hope we see a little bit of Noah. As we're sitting down in Steph's restaurant, is he making us a spag bol? That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? That'd be lovely. So there you go. But no, it'd be interesting to see where we all put Saints. Steph's already said, hasn't he? He's top 4 in them. We're in the top 4. We'll find out on the week before the new season. But I think the more you look at that squad, if Paul can work his magic, could there be magic? We'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. Right, this weekend, loads of rugby league for you to look forward to. If you're in and around Leeds, you've got a game to go to. Of course, this man, it is his testimonial against the Bradford Bulls this Saturday, 1 p.m. kickoff at AMT Headingley. Go and support Cameron Smith on that. Others as well. Matty Lee's his testimonial against the Castleford Tigers. Be interesting, this one. Remember last year, Salford went down to, before everybody started to leave, went down to St. Helens in a pre-season game and did very, very well. Will we learn something about Castleford? I think most of these teams now will play a very strong squad because time is running out. They'll want to get them up to match fitness between now and the start of the season. But Matty Lee's, good luck to him. That, of course, taking place this weekend. Kick-off 3 p.m. also on Saturday in St. Helens. And then a friendly, no testimonial, but a friendly anyway. Hull KR taking on Wakefield Trinity this Sunday at Craven Park. The kickoff time for that is 3 p.m. And of course, you've got a full calendar of Challenge Cup games as well. So make sure you go over to the Challenge Cup on the Rugby Football League. And if you've not got a game near you in Super League or those testimonials that I've just said, then go and get yourself to one of those games like we saw at the weekend. Great rugby league, well worth watching. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? You've got nothing else to do this weekend. Go and watch a live game of rugby. Why not? Boys, that hour and a half has flown by. We've said that Super League Raw Weekly is changing this year. We've been quick. We've been to the point, or more so. We hope you enjoyed Super League Raw Weekly. Of course, some of us have now got to go and do a full night's work on top of this beauty. But here we go. If you're a member, go over to the after party. That's right. We announced this last week. If you now want to discuss all things Super League Raw Weekly and what we've discussed, members, go over, use the social link that is already in the group. Go over there. Anybody's having any problems, just drop me an email and I can send that over to you while I'm getting ready. But the Super League Raw after show party where you can discuss all the things that we have discussed, criticise us, agree with us, do whatever you want with us. But one thing's for certain, just come back and watch us again next week. We'll be back at our usual time at 8 p.m. and Joel will return. And we might just revisit his Bradford Bulls prediction just for a bit of sport. And don't forget, loads of specials on the way. Harry Rushton in the morning, the full interview for the members. That one's coming up. Keep your eyes peeled for the Tara Jones one. That is also on the way. And by the weekend, you will have that behind-the-scenes media day. What does a media day look like at the Super League club? Really good little mini documentary there. Well over an hour that's going to be with the amount of footage that we've got today. That also will be uploaded for the members over the coming days as well. If you want to be a part of it, then go over to superleagueraw.com, become a member today, help us to grow the channel. We don't sell magazines, we don't do that. The way to support Super League Raw is to become a member. We're getting bigger, we're getting better, and this is what you've got to look forward to in 2026. Until 8 p.m. next week, bye for now.
See y'all.